to quit an addiction, a really good idea would be to be more like a villain. So if you think about heroes and villains in movies, the villains are always the ones that are proactive. They're always creating the drama. They always have a mission and they're doing something. They have a goal that they're doing something. And the hero's reacting to the villain. Do you,
Ooh, I
you
like
see where
that.
I'm... So
Yeah.
the villain's goal, he has a very clear mission. He or she has a very clear mission and nothing really gets in their way of it because it's their mission. And the hero's only mission is to keep the status quo the same. Right? To keep the city safe from, I don't know, who's the bad guys? I don't know. So a Batman or I don't know. Who are all the guys? What is it? There's two. There's Marvel and something else.
DC.
DC. All right. Which one's Spider-Man?
I think he's DC.
And like the rest of Marvel, right? The rest of the popular ones.
I see. I'm not a huge comic book guy. I always like Batman, and Spider-Man, but I'm not like a big...
Man, I hate them all. I just think they're so stupid. I've never been into them. I've never understood why they're popular at all.
Well, you know what's funny is Peterson talks about how they're becoming like the new, like, gods in popular culture.
Are they?
Everybody, yeah, like, well, for sure. Like with the movies, and everybody's so focused on these superhero movies, and there's these big, overarching stories that keep going on. And I see his point. Humanity.
But he's a good example of what I'm talking about, where you're better off being the villain. So if the reason that I haven't put this out is because I'm like, villain has a bad connotation to it. People are thinking bad, villain is a bad person. But there's plenty of examples where a villain's not the bad guy. I watched a movie just recently called Ex Machina or Ex Machina, whatever you want to call it. It's about an AI robot or whatever, and there's a guy controlling him, and there's a whole twist in it. But the bad guy's not who you think it is, and the villain is actually... It may mean well. What makes the villain is that he has the mission, he has the purpose, and he doesn't give a shit what anyone else thinks. And he doesn't really care what anyone, friends, family, all the other people in his life come secondary to the mission, right? And the mission becomes first. It's what you wake up thinking about. It's what they go to sleep thinking about. They're all about their mission. And when you do that, and the reason I brought it up, the reason I thought about it was because there was a guy I used to know, and he's probably one of the most awkward, weird dudes, friends of mine of all time. Least cool friend I've ever had. It was just a dead to talk to. Women hated him. His dates were boring, and no one liked to talk to him. And it was just true. He was just like that. And now he's very successful. He's a millionaire. He's done so well with himself. And the only difference I can point to, sure, he had a business and he got lucky with his brand, but he had this mission, right? He had this absolute mission. And that's all he gives a shit about now. Now he's interesting to talk to. Now he has money. Now he's healthier. Now he has tons of relationships. Girls are all chasing him. And the only difference is that he has this mission. So I think it's kind of... I'm really on board with the whole, if you want to change your addiction, you've got to build the new and not fight the old. And that's what I've been helping people with, and that's why I think that it works. Because if you can build a successful business or a successful social circle, or you can get extra healthy or whatever the fuck you're doing, it's very easy to not have an addiction.
For 100%. Well, that's exactly, always going back to Peterson, that's exactly what he says, is you create a vision for your life, and you keep your eye on the future with your focus on the day, because you're constantly focusing on that mission or that vision for the future. And so there's your focus. So you don't have time to get distracted and caught up with crap. I mean, he talks about himself, how when he was going through grad school, how he had to make a decision. Do I want to be serious about this, or do I want to keep going out and drinking every weekend? And that's what got him off alcohol. And it's the same for everybody. You're exactly right. No, it's a good insight, though. You're absolutely right. And that it's funny because I've been hearing, there's the culture war with the left and right happening right now. And I've been hearing conservatives talk about this, and they talk about how the reason that the left is always winning is because they do that. They're constantly out there pushing what they want culture and society to do, and conservatives are always just reacting and trying to you know, be the good guy, right? Keep the city safe. And so now
Yeah.
you see conservatives like the Daily Wire pops up, stuff like that. They're trying to push conservative values more than they ever really have.
Because villains don't have a problem with it. They're always doing. They always lose in the end because the movie's a movie. But this is reality, and if you wanted to be just and think like a villain, you would create a mission, and the mission could be anything. It could be financial to create $1 million business, whatever you want to do. It could be to reach a number of people with a certain message. It could just be to become the best at a skill, like poker or a musical instrument or whatever. So you with your gangster rapping, bro. Nicknamed the Facebook gangster rapper. That's your mission, right?
Yeah, I like to
Yeah.
rap. I mean, I wouldn't say it's a mission, but is definitely becoming a mission. In my journey over the last 20 years, which by the way, I got an album coming out 20 years later.
Yeah.
But yeah, it has become a mission. Like for a lot of years, it was just a thing that I did. It was just a part of me. And then from that, that's kind of how it became. I'm like, well, why don't I just do this thing I've always done? I mean, I'm always doing it anyways. And I'm not
Yeah.
trying to like I'm not trying to blow up and be the next Eminem or thing, or anything. But I'm like, well, I might as well put this stuff together and put it out. I mean, I'm doing it anyways.
Let's say your mission, you were a villain, and your mission is to become the better at rap, right? You just want to be better at your craft. The smart thing to do would be to release music to the public and get their feedback.
Right.
You know, like that's another thing that I always say. You know, this is marketplace feedback. Are
Marketplace
you the
feedback.
Are you the dude that called me a capitalist or something? for saying
Yes,
that?
absolutely, man.
Yeah. I am a capitalist. That's the world I live in. I would be stupid not to be. You know?
Exactly. There's
Yeah.
no shame in that, man.
No,
These people
no.
that talk about like, oh, capitalism is so bad. I mean, yeah, there's bad things about it, but it's just like anything. There's good things about it too.
Yeah, that's like when people say science is bad because it can make nuclear weapons. Well, yeah, science is the best way to get to nuclear weapons because science is the best way to do anything. You know,
Exactly. That's exactly it, right?
yeah,
Or we could call ourselves the good villains.
yeah. I don't like there's no alliteration. You know,
Yeah, I know. I hear you. I like alliteration
I
too.
like alliteration and what's the other one? Assonance or whatever. Assonance. One's the vowel sound and one's the consonant sound. Come on, Eminem, you're supposed to know this shit.
It's N and N. N and N, nickname.
Oh shit!
You know what's funny is for 20 years I rapped and I never thought of that till just recently.
N and N,
N and N.
N and N. It's like the B grade Eminem. That's is Eminem too expensive or busy to hire? Check out
Oh, the
N&N,
The Canadian version.
Canadian version. N. Oh, that's awesome, Nick. I like that a lot. That's fucking hilarious.
Shit. Well, that's the other thing, right? You have to be able to laugh at yourself. What's the word? There's a word for that. Self-deprecation. Yeah, self-deprecation is a huge lesson. That was a very hard lesson for me to learn in life. Like when I was a kid, I took myself way too seriously and got way too offended. I was way too sensitive. In fact,
Were you
I
an only
remember-
kid?
No, I've got an older sister. She's about 4 years older than me.
Yeah, so do I.
Little
4 years
wonder.
older sister.
Oh, really? That's funny.
Yeah. That's random.
And
isn't it?
it's your only sibling?
No, I got a younger brother as well.
Okay.
So I'm the middle guy. But I think because I grew up in a very funny family, we just joked around with each other all the time. And having siblings helps that. Stop taking yourself seriously. You might actually know that you're one of the very few people I could probably ask about this example. Do you know the people Kenny versus Benny?
Oh, for sure, of course.
Oh, wow. Because you're Canadian, so I knew you might know. But
Of
you know how
course.
Kenny's just always tormenting Spenny. And the reason the show's so funny and popular is because Spenny takes it all seriously.
Right. Yeah,
And
exactly.
Spenny is a single, or whatever you call it, single kid. No brothers, no sisters.
Okay. See, I don't know. I've never actually watched it. I've just seen parts of it. I've never actually watched it.
He's a really good example that Kenny can just constantly fuck with this guy and he never can do anything because he takes the whole thing seriously, which makes the show what it is. Because
Yeah.
you need the guy reacting, for the other guy to be funny at all.
It's the same thing that we're talking about. Kenny is always pushing his stuff forward, and Spenny's always just
Yes.
reacting.
Yeah, Kenny's the villain,
Yes.
and Spenny's the hero, the unlikely hero.
He's just reacting all the time.
Yeah, yeah.
It's the same thing.
And who has all the power in that relationship? Kenny, by
Kenny.
far. Absolutely. He's the one adored. He's the one that got all the money. He's the one that's rich now, while Spenny's doing cameos over, he's doing those $20 cameo appearance things. I don't know what they're called, where you do a personalized letter, video, whatever.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
There you go.
It's because he's reacting. It's the word react that made me think of it. Because you said earlier, the superhero is always just reacting, right?
Yeah, yeah. So I guess to bring it full circle and make some sort of lesson out of this thought that came out of nowhere, is that you want to start thinking like a villain, and it doesn't mean you got to be bad.
No.
Obviously, it just means
Don't be bad.
don't be bad. Or do. This is out of my circle of influence. I don't care.
Right.
The lesson is, right? This is like science. Go and make a nuclear weapon or go and cure AIDS. I don't really give a shit, but this is science,
Just do something.
Do something.
As like Gary Vaynerchuk says, just do something.
I mean, I feel like Gary Vaynerchuk could be summed up with the whole Nike slogan, and that's it. Just do it. Just do it.
Do it. Yeah,
Just do
exactly.
it.
That's
But-
right. Just do stuff.
But, I mean, he even says stuff I'm saying here now, which is the villain would not care what other people think. They would do their mission regardless of what other people think. And the way you do it and the way you think about it is that you want to do this mission because then you gain power, right? And that might be financial resources or whatever it is, fame, fortune, whatever you can leverage to help survive better. And the reason that you don't listen to friends, you don't listen to family, you still care about them, of course. But if you really cared about them, you'd focus on your mission because then you have something to give.